Larry Holder, Josh Katzenstein here with you as the Saints have just wrapped up their 8th day of practice. And Josh, probably the longest practice we've seen. They went nearly 3 hours today, and really a big heavy emphasis was on red zone offense and defense, and really both sides. It was kind of touch and go each side of the coin there, with the defense at the very end winning the day, you would call it. But just kind of along the same theme we've been seeing before. With some of these young cornerbacks, look, P.J. Williams picked off Drew Brees, and I think the entire Greenbrier County heard his reaction. It was not very pleasant. And then we also saw just some one-on-one drills. We saw Ken Crawley do well. We've seen Devontae Harris do well throughout this camp. And look, Sean Payton brings it up almost every day because we ask him almost every day. These young cornerbacks are really starting to kind of make a push, and some are rising above the others.
Yeah, definitely. And I think P.J. Williams is getting more opportunities right now because Keenan Lewis has been out the past 2 days, which is a little bit strange after coming off the PUP list. You normally wouldn't think that you come off the PUP list just to sit out the next 2 days, but Sean Payton said yesterday that he doesn't have any sort of setbacks, so we'll see how long he's out. And then who else? There was another guy that's been out. Sorry, I'm blanking on his name right now.
Damian Swan has been out.
Damian Swan was out the last 2 days too, so that's the main guy that P.J. Williams is competing with at that nickel spot. But, with Keenan out, P.J. is getting all sorts of reps, both outside and nickel. And, yeah, the fact that he got an interception today, it's definitely showing that he's got some growth. Because, really, you're playing so many reps in these practices that you're gonna bat some balls down at some point. But we even heard Delvin Breaux today say that he's been knocking so many balls down. All he wanted to do was get a pick. So that's what really gets these guys going. And the fact that you have a young guy in P.J. Williams who's finally getting a pick today in the red zone, no less. And you said that the offense and defense are going back and forth, but there was one period there where the second team offense and the third team offense couldn't get anything going. I think including the last pass of first team, there might have been 4 sacks out of 6 plays. So obviously it's too early to tell, but the fact that the defense is repeatedly playing well day after day, it has to be a good sign.
I will warn, though, that after the P.J. Williams pick, Drew Brees did have 3 touchdowns in that one sequence.
That's true.
So Drew Brees is still Drew Brees. And don't forget, as we're talking, we will field a couple of questions here in our Facebook Live chat. And so as we go forward, if you got some, come on down. But Mark Ingram missed practice today. And you know how much Sean Payton loves those injury questions. And he just simply said, we'll see how he is tomorrow.
Right, yeah. And you don't want your top players to be out, but as I said with P.J. Williams, having a starter out gives the young guys opportunities. And we saw Daniel Laskow, made some plays yesterday when Mark Ingram wasn't doing all the team drills. And then today, Marcus Murphy was the one who it seemed like kept making plays. And we've seen throughout camp, obviously he has the speed to get to the edge, but you want to see him be able to take some hits, keep going, stay on his feet. And it seemed like he was able to do that today.
Yeah, Marcus Murphy, he was really the hot story last year in training camp. He was a 7th-round pick last year. Sean Payton was raving about him. We haven't seen it as consistently as we've seen in the past because basically people are more enamored with the new 7th-round pick, right, Daniel Laskow, so he's kind of the freshest story. But as far as Murphy goes, he dropped a punt in drills, and that's something that got him basically in the doghouse last year, and they kind of scaled back on him. So he really needs to win that job, and he's squarely competing against yesterday's camp star, Tommy Lee Lewis.
Yeah, but it seemed Tommy Lee Lewis was really good yesterday. He almost had a really great catch on a deep ball, but, he didn't have that much separation, ended up falling incomplete. But, yeah, yesterday I thought he was the star of camp. Really, besides Brandon Cooks and Willie Snead, consistently every day impressing, I think it's gone Michael Thomas. And then for me, I'd say Tommy Lee Lewis has been the number 4 receiver thus far in camp. I'm not saying that he's going to win that job, but I think on a consistent basis, if you include special teams, Tommy Lee Lewis has been really good. R.J. Harris has been really good today. He had a really nice touchdown catch today in between 2 defenders. But I think Amos behind the camera was saying that we got a couple questions here, so let's throw it to that.
Look, I think it's certainly an upgrade as far as the way Dennis has been conducting everything. It's just a different style of what Rob Ryan has done. And I know you wrote yesterday, I think, either yesterday or 2 days ago, it all gets muddy here at training camp. Just something simple that Dennis Allen has been doing just to make it easier to even get the plays in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was one of the defensive linemen just pointed out that their calls are smaller. That was the word he used. Obviously, he just meant they're shorter because you can get them out quicker. Because if the coaches are relaying something shorter to the linebacker and the linebacker is relaying that shorter to the rest of the defense, all of a sudden it's a lot more likely that everyone's on the same page as opposed to having these long, complex calls, which apparently the Saints had last year under Rob Ryan and led to plenty of issues. As long as everyone's on the same page, you would think that's the first step to having a good defense, and it seems like based on, from what we've heard from a few people, that's the case right now.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing, look, I wrote about the linebacking core a couple days ago. I think that group has kind of gotten it together as well, with Dennis Allen kind of really being the guy leading the charge. And so, look, so far, again, we're day 8. I'd like to see them go up against New England. I'd like to see them go up against Houston. But I think day 8, I think you're seeing some positive signs. So we got one more question from Amos.
It's Landon Turner looking like he may be an option as a starter?
Not a starter yet, but I will say he did look good. Look, they did some O-line, D-line stunt drills where you have 2 guys and they're trying to crisscross essentially to confuse the offensive lineman. And he had one really good drill where you could even hear Zach Streep saying, great job, Landon. So, look, I think of any of those undrafted guard types, I still think he would be my pick to still make the team. But also, I know a player you're familiar with. He's been playing more center than anything else, but someone who's been standing out to you as well.
Yeah, I'll put my money on Jack Allen if we got to choose an undrafted guy, mostly because I think a lot of people are still surprised that Jack Allen didn't get drafted. A lot of it had to do with size and the fact that, he's a shorter guy. He's really about 6 foot 6'1", and then he didn't have the athleticism that you might need to, overcome that idea that you're too small. But yeah, I mean, Sean Payton gave him a shout out today. He's definitely looked better since the pads have come on. I mean, he played at a Michigan State team that was a run-first offense and had an NFL-ready quarterback. So, I mean, he's been in the trenches. He knows how to do it. And I think that, I think him and Landon Turner both have done some good stuff. And the fact that Turner, was good on those stunts, there were a lot of guys that were struggling with those stunts on the offensive line. Andres Pete, especially, from what I could tell, at left tackle. But, yeah, I think both of those guys definitely have a chance. And if one makes it, the other doesn't, I'd be shocked if the other isn't on the practice squad.
Yeah, I think both guys are going to be sticking at least to practice squad. One of those 2 guys, maybe someone else, probably has a roster spots coming. So thanks for joining us here on Facebook Live. Again, we're just wrapping up practice 8 here at the Greenbrier and White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. And check out all of our coverage of all things Saints at NOLA.com and our print editions of the Times-Picayune. For Larry Holder, for Josh Katzenstein, thanks for joining us.